Let me now review how to work with and customize your Director workspace. When creating and editing a basic movie, you'll typically work in 4 windows. These windows also appear in the default workspace. I've opened up Director, and I have noticed my score here at the top, my stage below. I have my cast window here, as well as the tools window, and then the property inspector, which is usually anchored or docked over here to the right. You'll notice that I have 2 ways of working with the windows. They can either be free floating as my score and stage are. I can dock those by clicking on the maximize icon here in the Windows operating system. Notice that that will take my score and stage and place them in the same space, and I can use tabs to tab back and forth between them. Can also minimize or restore back to their free-floating form. I also have these expand and contract arrows for both the right panel and the left panel, where I usually keep my tools panel. Also the bottom here, I can hide my cast window so that I can just see my stage or score. Oftentimes you'll work with this configuration where your score is on the top and your stage is down below, and then open and close the panels to the left and the right and the bottom. You may need to have access to the cast window. Notice you also have these little patterned areas in the upper left-hand corner of your windows. You can grab those and then detach or de-anchor, what I call de-anchoring those windows from the interface. Likewise with the property inspector, can take this out and have that free floating. Notice that I have my code library underneath that in the right area over there, and I can also expand and contract that. Notice if I take my patterned area and now I can dump it over here, I drag it so that I get a black line over to the right. That will re-anchor that window to the workspace. All of the Adobe products now in the Creative Suite have this same kind of interface activity or interface capabilities where you can anchor and de-anchor and have floating windows. Notice if I move this down below by holding down the patterned area, I get that little black outline. That tells me that I can let go, and that'll anchor down to the bottom of the interface, where I can also then expand and contract using these up and down arrows. I must be honest, this takes a little bit of practice and getting used to if you've used a previous version of Director. I find this anchoring business a little bit frustrating at times, in that things will anchor where you don't want them to. For example, if you drag and drop the property inspector, which I usually leave free floating, in the wrong location, it'll anchor for you without you really wanting it to. For example, right here, it's now anchored to the left. But it's easy to de-anchor and create a free floating window. There's also some controls up here in the upper interface. Under View, you can do Standard View, and that'll bring it back to this standard view where you have the stage and the score are free floating. Probably easier to use these if the left and right panels there are contracted. And you can always restore those by clicking on the maximize icon in the upper right hand corner, and then you get your tabbed workspace back. So take some time to practice and experiment with the different ways that these panels float or anchor. Let me now move on to the next movie and start reviewing these major components in more detail, beginning with the stage, and then reviewing in more detail the score and the control panel and the other major interface components.